second place.
Oh, look out. Tim clips that berm at the bottom of turn number 1, turns the Herco Machines number 49 around, and he sits idle in turn number 2. The 13 of Conkle threw it into an avoidance spin. He was not at all involved in that spin. Conkle, I'm assuming, will get his spot back. Tim, I'm assuming, will drop to the tail end of the field for the restart. Tim, I'm sure, is hoping that there's no damage to the left front corner of that white Herco Machines number 49. Speaking of Herco, we've got a lot of great events coming up here at Mississippi Thunder Speedway in the not too distant future, including the Herco Stone Machinery Night. $1,500 to win for the River City Manufacturing USRA Modifieds. That's coming up July 12th, Herco Stone Machinery Night, next Friday night here at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Hey, race fans, don't forget Richmond Gear is the leading supplier of ring and pinion gears and related drivetrain parts in the country, an official ring and pinion gear of the WISSOTA Late Model Racing Series. Great supporters of the Wallet Construction WISSOTA Late Model Challenge Series as they come out of turn number 4 to restart this third heat race.
Nemo regains the point in the 58 car and the lead. Dustin Sorensen in second. Massengale had third, losing it now to the 44 of Darrell Nelson, who's running well on the bottom.
Yeah, Nelson made a good move on the back straightaway there. Was able to dispense with the 6 of Massengale, who's now battling with the 40. Oh!
Dustin Sorensen into the wall.
Yow, hard hit in that wall on the outside of turn number 1. He went almost nose first into that wall. My goodness, you can see the scrub marks up the concrete there.
You can see the wall move.
That car got off the ground, up in the air.
Boy, if that's all the damage is a flat right front, he got out of that okay, but wow. A flat right rear too by the looks of it.
What a hit, and the good news is that he is under control and driving himself back to the hauler. That could have been so much worse than it was.
Well, see, the first time he did that, he charged through, made a pass, and it caught. But this time he hit it in a different spot, and the car did not turn for him, and he ended up going nose first right into the wall.
Ooh, very, very hard hit.
Yeah, glad to see him just like to actually drive it back to the pits, because that could have been a trip to the care center to make sure he was okay.
2 laps down, 10 to go in this third heater race. Diemel has been the class of the field in these opening 2 circuits with that 58. We'll see if anyone's got anything for him over these final 10 laps. Green flag is back in the air. Nelson had Jake Tim under his rear end there, trying to get up to speed. Massengale with a good start in the number 6. He's going to try and battle Nelson for second and third.
Yeah, A.J. Diemel out with the lead here in the 58 car. Nelson up to second now on the 44, but Massengale still working that high side in the 6. Looks to have a run coming out of turn 2. And just like that, the 44 of Nelson comes alive as they go side by side for second place. Jake Tim moves the 49 up to the top of the speedway. Up front, it's all A.J. Diemel in the 58. Nelson and Massengale still side by side for second. Just when it looks like Massengale's going to get a run and take over second place, Nelson's car comes to life.
Tim not looking quite as strong as he did in that opening lap or in his prior time behind the wheel. May have bent something, slightly tweaked that front end when he clipped the berm at the bottom of turn number 1 and turned it around. He's going to, boy, he sees a whole lot of open racetrack right between Nelson and Massengale. Can't quite get the car to stick. Loses some momentum coming out of 4. Massengale very tail happy that time coming out of turn number 2. Car was sideways and already in the straightaway. Didn't lose much momentum as Nelson continues to battle the bottom with a 44.
Yeah, there goes Massengale on the top side in the 6, this time actually completing the pass. But right, just like that, Nelson fights back on the low side. Jake Tim has caught the 2 cars running for second and third. Looking for some real estate to put that 49, just can't find it.
Diemel now has caught the tail end of the field. That would be the 13 of Ryan Conkle. Dima will sneak underneath him in turns 1 and 2. Slides up the banking in turn number 2. Conkle battles back on the inside. Conkle now lets off and lets the leader go.
White flag this time for A.J. Diemel and the rest of the field. Nelson fighting back on the low side in the 44, but it's going to be Massengill running second in the 6.
Oh, Nelson, hold on to it, buddy. The 44 of Daryl Nelson was completely sideways between 1 and 2. Can't hold on to it. Regathers it, but too little too late. Tim sneaks by. Nelson finishes 4th. Tim 3rd. Massengill 2nd. Your heat race winner already in turn number 3 under the Coca-Cola scoring tower. Started on the pole, led it all the way, and pulled away from everybody. Let's hear it for Elk Mound, Wisconsin's A.J. Diemel in the White City Glass, number 58. Hey, those of you who are in town from out of town, or those of you who are in town and live in town, we don't care where you're from, just want to remind you that Elmer's Toy Museum is open all 4 days of this extended 4th of July weekend. It's located up on top of the bluffs in Fountain City. Get down to the Golden Frog and turn up the hill, and you'll end up getting to Elmer's. If you have any interest in old race cars or toys or anything interesting,
I tell you, the things
you need to stop at Elmer's Toy Museum.
Yeah. Elmer frequently contacted by the American Pickers, Mike and Frank.
Been on the program before, sure.
And I tell you, my favorite things up there, the collection of bicycles is quite amazing. But there's a Superbird up there, and that's kind of my dream car that I'll never own because they're way impractical and cost a lot. And also a couple of old Indian motorcycles. I think there's a Chief up there and an Indian Scout. And I think the Scout, I'd like to buy one of the new Bobbers, the new Scout that they have out. Those are pretty sharp looking, pretty mean looking motorcycles. But honestly, if you have not been to the museum, head on up there sometime this weekend because it's really quite a fun thing to go through.
So I want to let you know that this is not intermission. We are putting a little moisture down, but we're going to be rolling out our River City Manufacturing USRA Modifieds for their first of 3 heat races in a moment. But I had mentioned earlier that I wanted to give a tip of the cap to the track crew here at Mississippi Thunder Speedway, who have somehow eschewed all the moisture that we've received in the area over the last, what's it been, Guy Hammernick, 6 months? Seems like it's been raining for about...
It seems like 6 years, Dan.
But they have taken a waterlogged racetrack and turned it into a pretty racy surface for night number 1 of the 11th annual River City Rumble. Again, a tip of the cap and our hats off to the entire track crew here at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. And a big thank you to Justin Hale and the fine folks at Tractor Central in Arcadia, who put at our disposal one of their huge 8295 John Deere tractors. If you were here earlier, you saw it out there doing some packing work. So a big thank you to Justin and Tractor Central in Arcadia. For all of your farm and implement needs, make sure you visit Tractor Central in Arcadia. And when Justin Hale walks up to chat with you, tell him that Dan at MTS sent you.
You getting kickbacks on that, Dan?
Not a penny. And while we do have just a moment here before we bring our first heat of modifieds out to give you an excellent opportunity to sneak on down to either the lower concession stand or the upper concession stand, the best way, in my opinion, to celebrate the 4th of July is by jamming a good old Speedway cheeseburger between your upper and lower gums and filling your tummy full of dirt track goodness. We've got chicken strips at Mississippi Thunder Speedway that are second to none. You can buy pizza by the slice, or heck, go home with a whole pie if you'd like, and call yourself a Speedway pizza fanatic. Of course, ice cold drinks, even ice cream here.
You're making me hungry, Dan. Holy cats, we got an update on the 50-50.
Wow, you folks have taken the challenge. We're already at the
$1,000 mark.
So that means you are now holding a ticket worth at least $500 in your pocket.
Possibly.
Or you could be, yes. But remember, you improve your odds by buying more tickets. And also remember that not a penny, not a single cent of the money raised with the 50-50 drawings goes to anyone affiliated with the racetrack. It does not come to the track, doesn't come to the ownership, the management, or the announcers. Half of it goes home with you race fans, or one of you lucky race fans. The other half goes home with a not-for-profit local organization.
I can tell you it doesn't go to the announcers because I've spent hundreds of dollars over the years on 50-50 tickets and I haven't got squat. So.
The other half of the money raised tonight by the way, is going home with the figure skating club, the Winona Figure Skating Club. So they're trying to raise some funds to help defray the expenses that are incurred by those young stars and starlets who would like to enjoy some time on the ice. Guy Hermannick, it's not hockey skating like you do all the time, but
you know, I'm friends with Tony Cook, who I went to actually from grade school on up, and he has a couple of daughters that are into figure skating and play hockey too. So
yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's on ice. We have plenty of ice through our 8 months of winter here in Wisconsin and Minnesota. So you might as well get outside and enjoy doing something. And if it's figure skating, that's great for them too.
Well, we got through all three of those Wallet Construction Minnesota Late Model Challenge Series heat races coming up in just a few moments after we get our River City Manufacturing USRA Modified heat races out of the way and our Black Horse Bar and Grill USRA B-Mod LCQ B-Main out of the way. We will have our My Race Pass redraw for the late model drivers. The top 8 drivers in passing points who are scheduled to start at the front of the field will be redrawing down here on the front straightaway. My Race Pass is considered the social network of motorsports, Guy Hermannick. Did you know that?
Well, I've been in there, and somebody spelled my name wrong somewhere at one of the racetracks, and it took me about 3 weeks to get it corrected. But
they also call it the ultimate racing